True, baby. Listen up. Ed leans back in his John Deere cap. Says I don't chase clicks, I just chase facts. Got a Bible by the mic, small town on his back. Reads every line before he hits that track. Ronnie in the booth with a notepad full. Cross on his chain, hard, humble but full. We ain't here to judge, just talk what's real. Taste every word before we serve that meal. Red, white, and true. Stand on what we do. Gotta taste your words before you say them. Cause the truth cuts clean when you lay it. Red, white, and true. We pray on what we choose. If you don't line up with his view, we don't spread. Red, white, and true. Scrolling that feed, everybody want flame. Pointing at a headline, never read a whole page. It says slow down, son, check that source. Every tongue got power. Pick your course. Ronnie takes a breath, says a quiet prayer. Lord, guard my mouth, let me keep it fair. We talk faith, talk flash, talk the hard news too. But we weigh each word like it's aimed at you. Hey, hey, red, white, and true. Stand on what we do. Gotta taste your word before you say them. Cause the truth cuts clean when you lay it. Red, white, and true. We pray on what we choose. If it don't line up with his view, we don't spread it. Red, white, and true. We ain't perfect, just forgive it. Trying to walk it out, not just talk opinion. You can disagree, pull up a seat, that's fine. But we keep it in grace when we draw that line. Hey, 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 red, white, and true. Stand on what we do. Gotta taste your words before you say them. Cause the truth cuts clean when you lay it. Red, white, and true. We pray on what we choose. If it don't line up with his view, we don't spread. Red, white, and true.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Red, White, and True with Ed and Ronnie. And the show starts right now.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday live stream of Red, White, and True with Ed and Ronnie. What's going on, Ronnie? Your background looks good.
Yeah, I got a little fire going because it's a little warm up here, but I felt like a campfire. So
Well, if they can see my little arrow and hand back there, right back there, there's an air conditioner
yes,
rolling. So
yeah, yeah,
So those of you that are worried about him really being hot,
yeah. No, I've got an air conditioner, 2 fans. It's just it's the sun hitting this house a part of the day, and it trust me, after the sun goes down, it gets cold up here. I shut all that off because it gets cold. So other than that, I've had a pretty good day off doing laundry.
well, you got some exercise going up and down the steps.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we have a ton of things to cover tonight, and so let's kick off some video coverage that you may have other than before we go into the Lindsey Graham story as our top story of the night.
So no Lindsey Graham right now?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay, let's do well, let's jump off with Mr. Kennedy. I like his stuff.
Hey guys, John Kennedy here in Louisiana. I'm kind of sweaty from working out. You know how during the winter, sometimes when you wake up in the morning and it's kind of cold in your room, but you're all warm and toasty in your bed, there's just one problem. You really got to go to the bathroom and you just don't know what to do. Well, that's kind of how I feel about this next video. But I decided to do it. I want to talk to you about something. This is a picture of my son Preston when he was much younger. Now, I want to tell you a true story about my son Preston when he was about I don't know, 3.5 years old. Any of you pencil necks make fun of him on the internet, just remember I'm from Louisiana and New Orleans is the voodoo capital of the world. If you cross me, you and your entire family are screwed for like 7 generations. So leave my boy alone. But anyway, this is a true story about Preston. One day when Preston was about 3.5, I came home from work. It was a Friday night. It was about 6 o'clock. Becky's at the stove cooking, and Preston was playing with his toys. And I looked at Preston and I said, Preston, Daddy's home. Daddy loves you. And Preston looked me right in the eye. His eyes were clear and bright. He looked me right in the eye and he said, no shit. And my head snapped back and Becky's head snapped up from the stove. And I said, Preston, you know, that's a bad word, right? And he looked me right in the eye and he said, no shit. And for the rest of that evening, every time we said something to Preston, he'd just reply, no shit, no shit. So finally Becky said, I mean, we weren't laughing anymore. We couldn't stop him. And Becky said, John, what are we going to do about church Sunday? And I said, I'd go to church on Sunday. And we didn't. But he finally stopped about Monday or Tuesday. Peace out. Here's a P.S. I'm sure Preston picked up that bad word at daycare. Wasn't from me. I don't know about his mama, but it wasn't from me. Peace out again.
His staff has got to love. Yeah, how much coaching do you think they tried to do with him? You know, really? You had to have a bandana with a baseball cap on backwards,
backwards, yeah.
You couldn't just do one of the two, or peace out and Louisiana voodoo for 7 generations. Oh, and no, folks, we haven't gone to voodoo worship here.
No,
I think that was 100% humor. And because when it's Kennedy, it's pretty much, even when he's serious, he's funny.
Yeah. I mean, a serious story about his son swearing, and it was still pretty good. I enjoyed it.
There you go. Your mom sent that to me earlier, and so I got to see it beforehand. Yeah, so it was funny every time I've watched it.
Good deal.
What do you got next?
Well, you heard about this explosive diarrhea sickness going around, haven't you?
Well, it's a Taco Bell thing, isn't it?
So I originally heard that it was fruits and berries and then lettuce, but now it's a Taco Bell thing, and here's a video on it.
Well, they say it's the ones you love the most that hurt you the most. Right now, multiple news sources, including Forbes and the Washington Post, are saying that Taco Bell is under investigation, as investigators are trying to find the source of a national outbreak of cyclosporiasis, or explosive diarrhea. As of today, the CDC is confirming over 1,600 cases of the outbreak, though states are reporting far higher numbers. The Arkansas Department of Health has confirmed cases in Arkansas, but has not confirmed how many or where they're located. While news sources are reporting Taco Bell is part of that ongoing investigation into the national outbreak, the fast food chain has not been mentioned publicly by the FDA.
Now, a story about Taco Bell causing explosive diarrhea.
It's kind of redundant, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where you're just like, yeah, duh. That's like a story about White Castle sliders giving you gastrointestinal issues. I mean, yeah, come on.
Some things you just expect in life. And
right. So, yeah, that was...
And surely Taco Bell isn't the only customer of that lettuce company.
Yeah, I'm surely they're not, but
well, when I was reading about it earlier, I was wondering how many people have sworn Taco Bell off now.
Quitters.
Yeah, well, Taco Bell, strangely enough, there are very few people that you hear that don't like Taco Bell.
Yeah.
The only complaint I ever have is the service.
Oh gosh, yes. Especially the one on 25th. Well, I can't say just that one, because the other one on 46 isn't that good service either. So,
well, as we mentioned, the top story we have tonight, unfortunately, is the passing of Lindsey Graham. Just a little backstory before we get started. When I was part of Vets for Freedom, and I think this was somewhere around 2008, maybe, we being veterans, most of them were Afghan and Iraq veterans. So they let a few of us older guys be a part. And we went to different congressmen and women, senators' offices, and just, I mean, we talked about doing things right for veterans, and we went to different places where different people spoke, and then we finished the event up at a park in DC, and Lindsey Graham, along with Joe Lieberman and John McCain, those three were really tight at that point in time. And they were at the event there in the park. And Pete Hegseth posted some pictures. And I don't know if I can share my screen with this. Let me see if I can share my screen. And there's no audio to go with it. Yeah, there is Pete Hegseth in the back. Look how young he looks, Ronnie. And Joe Lieberman there, and a much younger Lindsey Graham. Trevor actually asked me if I had any pictures with myself and Lindsey Graham from that event, and I do not. I have a picture of me and Mike Pence together earlier in the day, but not one with Lindsey Graham and I. But you can see in the background there the logo for Vets for Freedom. You know, I've talked about it numerous times, and you can see to our left and to Hegseth's right, those tan long sleeve shirts. They gave all of us their Vets for Freedom shirts, and Lindsey was a huge supporter of what we did. And I'm going to say up front, I've not always agreed with everything that Lindsey Graham stood for, but I can guarantee you he stood for the troops, and he was I don't remember, like 33-year veteran lawyer in the military. So, Ronnie, take off from there.
All right. Well, this was the day before he was in Ukraine. Spoke with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and he had plans for some things he wanted to accomplish when he came back.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Happy to see you. How are you?
Good. Older.
But
no wiser.
So when I get back to Washington, I'm going to go with Senator Blumenthal to the Republican and Democratic leader to see if we can find time to move this Russian sanctions package that would give tools to President Trump to help end this war. We have a magic moment in time here. In the coming months, if we do this right, increase Ukraine's lethality, get people to help us with Putin rather than propping him up, we can end this war.
So it obviously looked like he had some plans of some things he wanted to do, which wouldn't look good on Russia, which wouldn't help them out. So it's kind of weird that the next day, overnight. And I've got a video actually of President Trump talking about him. He had actually called President Trump that night.
Can you tell us, Mr. President, how you received this news and your immediate gut reaction when you heard it?
So what makes it even stranger is that I got a call last night sometime at, the early evening, maybe in the 7s, and he called and he said, we're all set for the Save America Act. He was pushing the Save America Act like crazy. He got back, said he just landed from Ukraine. I said, that's a long trip to make. And he said, he sounded a little tired, but perfect, but a little bit tired. I had a right to be. And he was a worker. He was really a worker. But he sounded great, actually. But he actually said he was tired. But he wanted to pass the Save America Act. And I said, well, we're going to get it done, Lindsay. We're going to get it done. I'll see you soon. We thought maybe we might even meet today. And then that was it. And that was, very around the time. It couldn't have been much longer. It could have been his last call. I don't know exactly. But I got a message about 1 o'clock in the morning from one of the people at his office that he had passed away. I said, I just can't believe it. He was like a member of the family to me. It's very tough, actually. It's amazing.
Mr. President,
he was such an advocate. He was, if he wanted to get something, and he had a unique ability. He was able to deal with Democrats and Republicans. If I had a problem, a real problem, I wouldn't often ask. But if I had a problem with a Democrat, he could work it out. He was a great politician, actually.
can you tell us?
So that was President Trump on talking to him before his death. And I found this and thought this was actually pretty neat. It's pretty cool. His replacement, I guess pro tem, is going to be his wife.
Today, under the law, it's my duty and honor to name someone to serve in the place of this irresistible man, this irreplaceable man, this extraordinary man for the remainder of his term. Lindsay took care of his little sister in years long departed. It's my honor to ask his little sister, Darlene Graham, to finish his work for him now.
First, I just want to say one thing I've never heard Lindsay described as is irresistible. So, now to Lindsay, I miss you more than I can even put into words. But I'm going to do this. I got it. Thank you.
My apologies. I said his wife. It was not his wife. It's his little sister. So,
and there's a really good backstory on that. I think I forget the age, but Lindsay adopted his little sister because I believe their parents died at a young age. And Lindsay is really, I really didn't know much about his backstory until this. He's pretty much a rags to riches story. He didn't come from great wealth. His net worth at death, I'm not sure how they knew it instantly, but probably between $1 and $2 million, which is practically nothing for a politician. And
I've seen people talking about that.
That makes me respect him even more. He didn't become a politician to get rich. And I know people would say, well, if I had $1 million or $2 million, I would be rich. And you would. But when you look at his cohorts there that serve and has served as long as he has, he was a congressman for 8 years before he became a senator. I think he took office as senator 2002 seems to be what comes to mind after reading so much about him. But Ronnie, there's lots of money to be made in the halls of Congress, and that's not what he was about.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot of the stuff I've seen about it was people like Nancy Pelosi. It was AI generated, but it was Nancy Pelosi and Cory Booker and several, AOC, a couple others saying that's all you've made. You've been here how long, and that's all you've got. So, yeah. But
And
like you
of
said, he
course,
wasn't about the money.
there's been plenty of ugly things that have been said, such ugly things that there's even some Democrats that have basically told the people doing the nasty talking to shut up.
That's a shock.
So
they didn't do that when Charlie Kirk was assassinated.
Well, no. The same as Lindsey could work with Democrats, Democrats could work with Lindsey. That was one of the things that bothered me on occasion with him. And so I think the ones that are telling them to shut up are thinking we probably need to pick somebody different. This isn't the one. And I hate that we even have to talk about that. We're not going to go into detail with it, but I have a video actually from Dr. Oz that explains what happened with Lindsey Graham.
My friend, Senator Lindsey Graham's sudden death is reportedly from an aortic dissection. That's a heartbreaking reminder of one of the most dangerous medical emergencies that we see. It was one of my specialties as a heart surgeon, so let me explain it. Think of the aorta as the body's main high-pressure pipeline. If the inner lining tears, blood can force its way into the wall of the artery, splitting it apart. The result can be catastrophic, cutting off the blood flow to the brain, to the heart, or causing the aorta to rupture. Now, here's why this is such a massive emergency. About 30% of patients die within the first 24 hours if they're not treated, and more than half are dead within 48 hours. That's why every minute counts. Modern treatment can dramatically improve survival, but only if people get to the hospital immediately. Now, this isn't as rare as many people think. Aortic dissections have claimed the lives of television host Alan Thicke, actress Lucille Ball, actor John Ritter, probably his father too, musician Tex Ritter. It has a genetic element to it. So what should you watch for? Sudden, severe, ripping chest pain that comes out of nowhere and feels like different from anything you've ever experienced. If this happens, don't drive yourself to the hospital. Don't wait to see if it's getting better. You call 911 immediately. And finally, the biggest risk factor that you can control is high blood pressure. So know your numbers, which your local pharmacy can help you with. Please share this message with people that you love.
That's some good stuff to know. I personally just went through a lot of that myself.
Yeah, you didn't have to worry about getting your blood pressure taken at the pharmacy, huh?
Well, but I had my blood pressure taken about 6,000 times in the week that I was in the hospital.
So, lots of respect. I like to think when there are people, forget party, but people that you don't agree with all the time, that you can still treat them properly, still show them the proper respect that they're due. And, that's one of the things, anytime somebody of this magnitude passes on, that I hope we can get better at. And I guess I can only control myself, but I would hope that the left would get better at that, because they're by and large not very good when it comes to that.
I doubt it. I've seen so many TikToks of people actually dancing to the news, and I even saw one where it said that Iran has personally taken responsibility for Lindsey Graham's death, and the promotional video that they put out was like Legos. It was like Lego stop animation. So I didn't buy into it, and I passed over it.
Well, I was going to ask you about it, because I saw basically an Iranian hit list that started with Trump, and then it was Netanyahu, and then it was some of the Saudi leaders, I believe, and several others in the Midwest, and then J.D. Vance, Hegseth, the CENTCOM commander, Bradley, what's his last name? Anyway, that's who, Admiral Bradley Cooper, I think. And then it went all the way down. There was like 3 rows of pictures, and Lindsey Graham was the very last one, and it had a red circle with an X. You know, the line, not an X, but a line, like he had been eliminated first.
I can't see why Iran would push to eliminate him first. You know, especially with a list that big. So that's why I didn't buy too much into it. I just kind of, okay, yeah. Of course they're going to say that because we just spent the last 3 days bombing the crap out of them again. So.
Yeah, obviously we did. And his sister, there's big repercussions right now. She's already been sworn in, I believe. I think that happened earlier today. But he was up for re-election. So I believe it's August the 11th that they're going to have a special election for the Republicans in order to get somebody named other than Lindsey Graham. She has not agreed yet to take that on. I don't think she has turned it down, but she's not agreed anything past his present term, which will end in January. So there's several names that are being floated around. President Trump had the sister is who Trump wanted to be nominated, and the South Carolina governor is basically lockstep with Trump and did exactly what he asked. That's the first time I'd seen his sister say that she'd never heard Lindsey described as irresistible.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he didn't mean to say that, but it worked.
Well, I read it the first time, and I had to stop reading and back up, and yep, he did say irresistible. Yeah, I don't think he meant to say that.
Yeah.
You know, I've told you before, when it comes out, it's out, and you can't grab it and push it back in, and sometimes you just regret.
Right. A weird thing is a lot of people are upset that Lindsey Graham died and Mitch McConnell is still alive. That's another rabbit hole, and I've got a few, but I'm only going to show a little bit.
This US senator says he is alive, but some people aren't convinced. They're claiming, without evidence, that this image he shared is an AI fake. Mitch McConnell, a top Republican, has had health issues and hasn't been seen in public for weeks. On Sunday, he released this image, saying he was recovering from a fall and a mild case of pneumonia. Some people have claimed the photo is really from 2023, but we looked and couldn't find any versions of it online before Sunday. Others have pointed to the words on the newspaper McConnell is holding as a sign of AI, claiming they're jumbled. But if you zoom in, the words aren't jumbled. They're just blurry because the image quality isn't good enough. And this is the paper he's holding. It's Sunday's edition of the Washington Post. You can see the sports section matches. We also showed the image to 2 AI experts, who after reviewing it, both said they believe it's genuine. People online have suggested McConnell's face could have been swapped onto a photo of someone else. But one of the experts we spoke to said he analysed the photo using a tool which distinguishes real from AI-generated faces, and neither was flagged as suspicious. We also put the image through detection tools ourselves and found no evidence that it was AI.
That, however, is not stopping everyone from doing the Weekend at Bernie's thing with Mitch McConnell, and I've seen 100 different ones where they've taped his eyes open and they taped his smile up, and those are stupid AI things, but man, people are just not letting this go, are they?
Well, I had the thought when I seen the pictures released that, man, he looks really good compared to the last 6 months. Every time you seen him, he looked like he was walking to his coffin.
Yeah, zoned out and zombied.
Well, but he's been in the hospital for what, around a month? What, hasn't it been? And
31 days, I believe they said. I've got another video that says 31 days.
so, I understand, especially in the era of AI, why people might consider that. But I appreciate the gentleman there that had put the work in and the time in and probably the money to prove that it was legit pictures. Go ahead with your other one.
It's just sad we live in a world that you have to do that kind of thing. But this one, you can tell she's a very liberal reporter, and it almost kind of borders on satire, but it was interesting.
Desiree Townsend here again outside of George Washington University Hospital for day 31 of the medical miracle. Mitch McConnell, his Capitol Police detail is still parked outside of the hospital here. And in fact, we have a heavy presence of Secret Service here today as well. So I'm unsure if that's for Senator McConnell. It'd be odd to have Secret Service, but you never know. I will put up some of the clips that I caught earlier. Secret Service dropped off a walker. So that's what kind of led me to think that maybe they were here for Senator McConnell. But again, it's very odd. Secret Service is usually for presidents, vice presidents, and former presidents as well. So I would have never guessed 1 week ago that we would be swearing in today an interim senator that was not set to replace Senator Mitch McConnell. I'll say it again, this guy is a miracle. Such a miracle, in fact, that he survived the impossible based upon EMS dispatch audio. So you may remember the audio, which documented multiple back and forth calls with EMS crews and paramedics and dispatch responding to an unconscious person. Then someone radioing back saying that patient at that same address was in cardiac arrest. When they arrived, they were then engaging in CPR, followed by the dispatcher radioing a second time his address with an updated cardiac arrest response. Based on Elaine Chow's, Senator McConnell's statement and the definitely not photoshopped older photo of him and his wife, who basically abandoned him for weeks for a China vacay. The photo and statement, I suppose.
I'm going to cut that now. It was not a China vacay. She was doing work for her charity. So it's not like she was hanging out eating some banging Chinese food. She was working, and it was after Mitch is already better. I mean, he was in the hospital for a while. He was better, and it was already something that was scheduled and planned out. So, like I said, that kind of almost borders on satire. So I didn't know how much of it to believe. The Secret Service thing. I mean,
well, she was having way too much fun with that.
Yeah.
I understand the quip line that a week ago, if she was talking about someone being sworn in to replace a senator, that it would have been Mitch McConnell would have been the choice, or not the choice, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, her guess.
Yeah, that's just again, I used to be a huge Mitch McConnell fan, and the older he got, which happens a lot, the less I agreed with him. That's happened with several prominent senators in the past. Dick Lugar comes to mind. I love Dick Lugar. I remember when he was mayor of Indianapolis before he ever went to DC. But the older he got, the more tolerant he got of things that that you and I aren't always so tolerant about. And before we go on, I wanted to make a statement a little bit about something that I said on Saturday. Not sure how it came across to everyone. I said that I would not have been opposed to the United States making strikes during the funeral of Khamenei in Iran. And as I thought about it, I thought, well, that may not have been the most pastorally way of saying things. And I actually even disagreed with you, because you had taken the high road and said that you thought that probably wouldn't have been the best idea. So if I offended anybody when I said that, I certainly apologize. I should think a little more before I say certain things. And so I try to be, they like to call it transparent or whatever in today's world. I used to always just be upfront with people. And if I do something wrong, I should fix it. And so that's what I'm doing right now.
Well, after you said it, I kind of thought about it for a minute, and we haven't gotten to the point where we've raised the black flag, the no quarter with Iran. Yeah, we've been at odds with them forever, but when it gets to the point where no quarter, we're not going to give you any breaks, that kind of thing, then go after a funeral. But I think we're still at the point where we should still be civilized and we should be leaders in the whole rest of the world and let the dead be collected, on the battlefield kind of thing. But I mean, I as soon as I said no and you said yes, I kind of was like, wait a minute, he's got a point. So I wasn't offended. I like having good discourse like stuff like that. So, but I get
well,
it.
Speaking of Iran, lots going on over there. Ronnie made mention that we're bombing the crap out of them. They're still building things and attacking ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Israel is pounding their chest right now, letting Iran know that if Iran decides that they'll want to lob some things Israel's way, that they won't put up with that. Israel has kind of taken a back seat a little bit, and but they wanted to make sure that everyone knows that confrontation with them could start back at any time, any point, because Iran has sent missiles. Was it Oman and Kuwait, or was it? They fired missiles at least 2 different countries in the last 2 days. I think both places. Well, there was one place got hit. I don't know how bad. Another place, and I think this was Kuwait, where they intercepted, but shrapnel from the incoming, probably drones, I'm going to guess, caused a little bit of damage. The Houthis, they got whipped around by the Saudis in the last couple of days. There's a lot going on over in the Middle East. And actually, Saudi Arabia bombed an airport that was under Houthi control. And
Really?
Yes, they did. And so the Middle East is hot and heavy once again.
The Middle East is something that should always be forefront on everybody's worry list, of things to be cognizant of and to keep an eye on. I come across something today that's got me really worried, and I want to hear what you think about after this.
This looks exactly like a U.S. Navy warship until you notice it's sitting in the sand. So why did China build this? It's more than 1,000 miles from the nearest coastline, hundreds of miles from any major city, deep inside the western Chinese desert. And it appears to be a full-scale mock-up of a U.S. Navy Arleigh Burke-class destroyer. Look at it side by side with the USS Fitzgerald. Both are around 510 feet long, with helicopter flight decks, vertical launch systems, a bridge and command area, and even deck guns. Military analysts say this replica is designed to simulate the radar signature of an American warship, helping China detect, identify, and perhaps target the real thing. The PLA has long trained using mock-ups of everything from U.S. military assets to Taiwan's presidential office. But
have they ever built a 3D mock-up before? It's first time.
What message are they trying to send by building this?
The message that they are sending is China is always preparing for war.
What do you think about that?
I think and that's the first I've seen that, but I think it's an escalation. When you hear that they've never done that before, and right now, China is the biggest concern, in my opinion, of all of our adversaries. Russia, we've talked about, they've got their hands full and may even lose that war. North Korea is a concern, but they're not anywhere near as capable as China is.
No.
And, you know, talking about concerns and this concern with China, Trump was in Turkey last week at the NATO summit. And of course, the Greenland topic came up. And so I got to looking at the world map a little closer. And we actually need Greenland. We need to be in control of Greenland. When you look at how vast that body of water is, that, you know, Russia especially, but China has access to, and once they come from, if they're going east to west and they come around Greenland, then man, they got a straight shot to the United States and Canada. And, you know, and so along, it ties in with what we just saw. China is a very, very, very formidable foe. And, you know, they've never really shown how much might they have. They do things differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they haven't invaded Taiwan. They haven't attacked us anywhere to where there's a skirmish between the two. But I'd prefer we didn't find out. I'm not saying I'm afraid of them. I think we're bigger and better and badder than they are.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be as easy as blowing Iraq or Iran to smithereens. That's for sure.
I don't know if you think that all China's got is a 3D mock-up of an Arleigh Burke class destroyer, then you're absolutely wrong. I guarantee you, you know, somewhere not out in the middle of a desert where a spy satellite or spy plane can see, I guarantee you they have 3D model of the Oval Office, the PEOC, the Pentagon, you know, many other things.
Oh, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I don't know. That just their blatant disregard and just kind of built a battleship in the middle of, you know, the desert. It's not to test radar. I mean, you can do that. You can do that with two poles and some aluminum foil, and get the same radar signature as you would an Arleigh Burke class destroyer. So, you know, to build a 3D battleship just to test radar, not buying it. Not
yeah. And they wanted it to be seen, or else they would have not placed it to where it could be seen.
Yeah.
No. So, yeah. Wow.
So, well, you know, hey, as long as we are on things to worry about, we've covered this subject almost every single episode that we've done, and this is just another example and something else to be worried about.
This is the Islamic Republic of New Yorkistan. Islam will be in every household. Inshallah, the whole world is Muslim. Welcome to Mamdani's New York. You see this city? You see how it looks? Inshallah, your city looks just like this too.
So we've go ahead.
Well, watch this.
They are chanting for the death of your country on American soil. This is not Tehran. This is Dearborn, Michigan. When confronted, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib chose a total blackout. She refused to condemn the very slogan used by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps to call for our destruction. This is the Red-Green Alliance in action. Leftist radicals and Islamic extremists have captured American streets. Silence is an endorsement of the threat. Our sovereignty is under siege from within. Reject the infiltration.
Yeah, I've got a video on the Dearborn, Michigan as well. So it's pretty much the same thing, but I won't show it. But
Well, here's the deal. We've been talking about it more lately. And that says something because, like you said, we've mentioned something about it almost every episode of Red, White, and True with Ed and Ronnie throughout the history, which we're going to be coming up on 2 years here in not that too distant future.
oh my goodness. Yeah.
But you're going to hear more from me. And, you know, when I get on a topic, Ronnie gets on a topic with me. And not that I push it on him, but I know how he feels. And I said Saturday, I said last Wednesday when I was on, we're going to have to stand up. And I posted on X. Let me find it. Mandami posted this morning in Biddeford, Maine, a 26-year-old man said goodbye to his wife and daughter and left for work. Moments later, he was dead, shot in the head by ICE agents. The second man ICE has killed in 6 days. ICE is killing our neighbors. ICE cannot be reformed. Abolished ICE. And I made it was a repost with a quote, and I said, get used to hashtag socialism and then hashtag communism, followed by hashtag Sharia law. If the New York City mayor, that's what his X account is titled, if the New York City mayors of the country aren't stopped. And it's past time, Ronnie, for us to just gripe and complain about it. We got to make sure that they don't win elections. And if it takes sending $5 to everybody that's listening to opponents of people like Mandami, the left is so orange man bad, and you talk about this all the time. There's so much that way that they won't open their eyes to what socialism, then communism, and trust me, folks, the Muslim don't care about American socialists. They don't care about American communists. They care about Muslim and Muslim power. But that's typical way they do things is they go in and they support those things that sound so good. Socialism, everybody can have a piece of the pie. And then communism, oh, well, everybody's got a piece of the pie. Now the government is going to take charge. And then, oh, well, I don't care nothing about your government. Sharia law is the law of the land. And you said it Saturday, we're in stage 1. Europe is in stage 2. Go through that again, because you said that so well.
Yeah, so I mean, America right now we're in stage 1, and stage 1 is basically, so in Islam, homosexuality is a crime. That they will execute you for being homosexual. But here in the United States, seeing as how we're in phase 1 and they're the minority, it's not a crime. They're accepting of it, and it's all just part of life. And you would think that a lot of Islamic folks are woke, like the left, you know, as in the left, but they're not. They're the minority, so they can't basically stand here and tell you that being gay, we're going to throw you off a building. Now, in the UK and in Germany, you know, in Europe, essentially, they're in phase 2, which is there's more population there. They have taken office, you know, they've taken office here in the United States. They've done more so in Europe. You know, look at the big the issue is in Scotland, I believe, where the one Muslim guy slashed the other guy's throat with a box cutter, and there was huge riots, and they're in phase 2. It's more advanced. Phase 3 is Islamic takeover, and look up the Quran. I'm being serious. Read a little bit of the Quran, look it up, even Google it. It'll tell you that is what their Bible tells them to do, is to take over the world, and things should be their way. So it's only a matter of time before we're in phase 2. And then, I mean, look at how bad the conditions are in Europe right now. They're in phase 2. I mean, if our friend from UK was over here, she could probably tell us. It's rampant. So like you said on Saturday, we've got to do something to stop it. I had several videos. I was going to do a segment on it, but there's no way I wanted to go solo on this subject. I had to have you with me because, I mean, you've got as much to say about it as I do. But here's one thing that you're not hearing on the news that's been going on in Mamdani's New York.
If this happened to any other group, it would have made national headlines. But it didn't, which means I have to talk about it. In New York, in the past 3 months alone, 4 churches have been deliberately and purposefully set on fire, and nobody, not even the mayor, is talking about it. At the end of April, the First Reformed Church of Astoria in Queens, which is 150 years old, was randomly set on fire, and the cops can't seem to find a motive. 6 firefighters were injured trying to put it out, and now that church has to be demolished. Then less than a month later, the South Bushwick Reformed Church, which is 175 years old, was set on fire randomly. And just like the first church, the cops have no idea who did it. And then on July 8th and 9th, a man on camera threw Molotov cocktails at 2 more churches, setting them on fire. And in a complete shock that nobody could have possibly seen coming, the police arrested this man right here, Guyanese national Yogesh Sarange. Believe it or not, he already has several prior pending cases, including the fact that he's not a resident of the United States, and that less than a month ago, he threatened to, using an axe, remove someone's head from the rest of their body, and then threatened another stranger, telling them that he would stab them. And yet, for some reason, despite them being clear targeted attacks in his city, the mayor Zohran Mamdani hasn't said anything about them. He seems to be preoccupied with the freezing rent thing, which will already fail, but is unnecessary now that so many people are leaving the city. But it's interesting because if this happened to any other religious group, the media would be coming out in droves to condemn it, but I guess churches just don't fit their narrative.
Now, think about what I just said earlier. Sounds like phase 2 is starting in New York City. We had the video a couple weeks ago where the person that was installed in office, I can't remember her name, had talked about wanting to use the American flag as a napkin. And there was some formal dinner and she didn't have a napkin and she was going to use the American flag behind her. Sure sounds to me like New York City is starting to fall under phase 2 of total Islamic takeover.
Well, I've got a thought and then I've got a list that fits right into what we're talking about. My thought is, if you love your country, if you are a proud American, you won't let somebody that's sitting at your table use the American flag as a napkin.
Oh, no.
That's unacceptable. If you see somebody getting ready to burn a flag, that's unacceptable. We've not had things like that happen here, but I guarantee you that in my presence, which would mean in your mother's presence, because we're together, especially now that she's retired, almost 100% of the time, that we're not going to let that happen. And so we have to be that way. We can't just sit back and say, well, she's got a First Amendment right to do that. Not in my presence, she doesn't.
Right. She's got a First Amendment right to walk her ass back to the line and get a napkin.
That's exactly spot on. And I guess I have a First Amendment right to not to physically harm her, but to remove my flag from her hands.
Yeah.
That's my speech. You ain't going to do it, woman.
Nope.
But listen to this list. This is all Mamdani. I need to say that slow. Excuse me. Headlines he's been making in just the last few days. Calls for a major tax increase on wealthy New Yorkers. Support for openly public-owned grocery stores. Expanded government ownership of housing that was referenced there. Anti-Israel comments and positions. Calls for major police reforms. Calls to abolish ICE that we mentioned. Opposition to local cooperation with ICE beyond legal requirements. Supporting and strengthening New York sanctuary city policies. Critics argue His policies would hinder immigration enforcements. Supporters argue they protect immigrant communities. Let me just say, New York, you got what you voted for.
Yeah.
If you wanted all that, you got it, and then some.
Yeah.
And then some.
Yeah, and I've seen videos of rich celebrities that campaign for Mondani that are complaining and trying to leave. I can't think of the guy's name.
Yeah, one just recently told him to go back where he came from.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what you guys campaigned, voted for, wanted, and thought about, and that's what you ran with. You know, okay, cool, y'all look woke, but how fun is life in New York City?
Think about this, Ronnie. He openly campaigned for those things. He didn't just hide it and do it after he got in. I mean, he's been worse than advertised, but he openly campaigned on it. So why would those people that are turning against him now have voted for him in the first place?
It's also they look woke and they look advanced and they look sympathetic and all that. You can't tell me that any rich person in New York City would be perfectly fine with paying more in taxes than any other class, and yet that's what's going to happen or happening. A lot of rich people can't afford to live in New York anymore because they're being taxed more. Now, as a poor person, do I support taxing the rich more? No. I think everybody should pay their fair share. But just because they have more money than I do doesn't mean that they should pay more. But you're right. He campaigned on this stuff and people ate it up. And I don't know if it was so they looked woke or they looked progressive or whatever, or they truly believed in his cockamamie theories. But I'm sorry, you guys made your bed and I lay in it. I really don't have a whole lot of sympathy for it.
And from my estimation, we shouldn't be having sympathy for it. We should be figuring out how to stop it.
Yeah.
Because you showed New York, I showed Dearbornistan, and is it going to be Chicago and Seattle and LA and Austin?
Funny you say that. Funny you say that. And the first city you said was Chicago.
3, 2, 1.
So I couldn't really read it, and it's been a while since I've seen it, but they named the street that. But the most sickening thing, besides naming the street that, was that they had pulled the flag down and it hit the ground, and a guy walked right on top of it. But that was in Chicago.
Well, how about I switch to something a little less intense, and actually it is something very, very exciting in my eyes. Now, you've heard us refer to our friend Trevor, and Trevor actually runs an entertainment website, and he is very well respected within the entertainment PR. I mean, he gets scoops, and this one is one of them. So something is happening in the streaming world that ties directly into the kind of content that Ronnie, you and I and our audience cares about. You probably heard about Netflix's new Little House on the Prairie show, which premiered on July the 9th. It has been a genuine hit right out of the gate, and people my age would remember the original Little House on the Prairie. It's still on in syndication or on streaming services. I think you can find it, I'm almost 100% sure, on Pluto. And probably others, but it landed in the top 3 most watched shows on Netflix worldwide within days, which is a huge deal. That's the new Little House on the Prairie. Reached #1 in 10 different countries, and Netflix was confident enough that they already have renewed it for a second season, a full 4 months before it even premiered. Showrunner Rebecca Sonnenschein, who has called herself a lifelong fan of the books since she was 5 years old, has said repeatedly that she wanted this adaptation to stay true to what made Laura Ingalls Wilder's stories special in the first place, and that they include the Ingalls family's faith. The show leans into their Christian faith, their hymns, helping build the town's church, holding on to their beliefs through the real hardship. And it's worth noticing because it turns out this wasn't an isolated decision. This is the really good part coming. It's actually a preview of something much bigger happening inside Netflix right now. A new report says Netflix is quietly building a real funded division dedicated to faith-based and family content. That's just almost more than I can understand, and that's why I think it's so exciting. On July the 7th,
coming from Netflix.
Yes,
wow.
Coming from Netflix. The entertainment newsletter, The Insider, veteran reporter Jeff Schneider published. Actually, I think it's called The Insnider by reporter Jeff Snyder. I thought it was a typo, but I think it was actually said that way. Published what it described as Netflix, an internal studio mandate, a leaked roadmap of exactly what kinds of film that Netflix chairman Dan Lin is looking at. The site What's on Netflix summarized it the same day, and it's been picked up by entertainment outlets ever since. Netflix has not confirmed any of this publicly, so let's treat it as a well-sourced report, not an official announcement. But here's the headline. Buried inside that mandate is a section with a very specific name: family, holiday, and faith-based. That is reportedly a real division inside Netflix film unit. Continuing on, here's something worth knowing about Dan Lin, the person we just referenced. Reports say he's spoken at the Biola Media Conference, described as the largest gathering in the country for Christians working in entertainment, and that he and his family attend Ecclesia Church in Hollywood. Insiders say that background is part of why he understands the real commercial value of family and faith audiences. I'll see about getting this posted to where you could read the entire script. But man, Ronnie, what are your thoughts on that?
So I never watched Little House on the Prairie. I did hear about the newer version. I'm a fan of all things history, so I thought about maybe watching it. But the biggest whopper takeaway is that Netflix is switching to more faith-based. Like I don't know. I couldn't believe it when you said it. So and not that Netflix is evil or demonic or anything, but you know, they had the comedies. They had the roast with Shane Gillis, you know, that we talked about, and all that racist stuff. So you know, it's
well.
refreshing.
Let me just say this: we used to have Netflix, your mom and I, and when some of the things that you're making reference to was going on, we just said, you know, we ain't paying.
Yeah.
We ain't paying a quarter, much less whatever the monthly fee is to Netflix. Yeah. And I'm as shocked as you are. But promoting good, wholesome family, Christian-based, Christian background movies over the years has been so important, because now Netflix, the bottom line is Netflix is out to make money.
Oh yeah.
And they see from what has gone from, low quality, low budget movies to very, very, very high quality faith-based and family-oriented movies. And so I'm excited that what we've done over the years, and it's been literally years of promotion of those kind of things. And wow, that's some really good news.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. I look forward to it. Yeah.
Well,
I think
let me
that
read.
is. Go ahead.
Well, let me read a list of things that we're not going to get to talk about tonight. I mean, this list, when I said at the beginning that we had tons and tons to talk about, we didn't get to talk about Todd Blanche's confirmation as Attorney General. That's going very, very well. Security at the Supreme Court. 2 Supreme Court justices were on Capitol Hill today testifying, and that was interesting. ICE and immigration, Trump economic announcements, the World Cup update, inflation reports that came out better than they thought, FBI and Department of Justice developments, the ongoing investigations, new developments in AI, border security, the South Carolina Senate race. We did kind of reach on that a little bit. Israel Gaza update. We haven't said much about the area of Gaza in months, but there is updates on that as well. So we barely touched the surface of things tonight, Ronnie.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, we've gone an hour and 7 minutes, and yeah, there's still so much. I mean, I've got stuff about the Department of War and the Department of Justice are going after leakers that are leaking information. We've talked about that before. I got the big child abuse story in Kentucky, but we can cover that later. Yeah, so there's tons of stuff that we could be talking about. We could stay live for another 2 hours and still probably not cover everything.
Absolutely. I can't go without showing this video. People on here know that I am a St. Louis Cardinals baseball fan. Yeah, I know everybody's shocked that I would bring up the Cardinals. Well, you shouldn't be shocked that I want to show a video of Cardinal star Jordan Walker. And let's take off.
I took off the overlay.
Okay. Let's take off the overlay. Let me
swing off. Baseball is not afraid. We are tired.
Now this is the home run derby last night.
As one of the longest shots on the board with a home run right here. A homer wins it, a non-homer, and we're going to
Did I lose you? I don't know. I don't know if it's him or me that's paused here. I don't know. So I'm just going to take us out of here like I normally would until we get whatever's going on figured out. After all the bad things that we've talked about and things you got to worry about and all that, during this episode, I chose the closing video, because to me it would be my morning. When I wake up in heaven, this is what's going to happen. So, again, Drum and Bugle Corps, this is the Cavaliers. But thank you to everybody that was here. We appreciate each and every one of you. We will be back on Saturday, right here at 7 p.m. unless something else happens in the interim, which fingers crossed, and we'll come back and bring it to you, you know. But thank you to each and every one of you for being here. We truly appreciate you. Until next time we see you, please go out and do the right thing. Good night.